It's my favorite time of the month. I hope it's yours. Let's open our Open Gate box. Ooh. I wonder what's in this month's box. I always wonder. Every month I'm like, It's always so good, though, that I do it right away. So we're going to see. All right. Oh, we can see thread right away. All right. It says project number 1 is called Summertime. It's got Henry glass fabric, I think is what this says. I forgot to grab glasses. My goodness, Tiffany. Think. Okay, so, Bloomscape from Henry Glass. Project number 2 is the block of the month. I can't wait to see what this month's block is. And then you get a fat quarter, some thread, and a pattern. So let's see what we got. Ooh, a pattern to make a sewing machine mat. How fun. Just uses fat quarters. Oh, look at that. That's so cute. I don't have a little tiny miniature machine, though. Mine's a big, giant, bulky thing. You would never see what's underneath. But that's a good idea. Placemat. Placemat is what that would work for. Ooh, look at the fat quarter. This one looks... I'm going to undo this because this is all sorts of color. This is pretty. Look at that. Ooh, I like that fat quarter. It's, well, I would tell you, but it's not that part of the salvage. Summertime. Oh, look at those colors are pretty. It's going to make a 22 by 28. Oh, how cute. Wall hanging. That's adorable. I can't wait to make that. Oh, okay. And then the block of the month fab. Ooh, the block this month is nice. Look at that. All right. And then color number, who knows? Because again, I didn't pause this even to even grab glasses. I think it says 2886. It's a green. It's a green. All right. So I'm going to start with, like always, the project. And then we'll do the block of the month. All right, here we go. All right, before we go to the iron, I'm not going to worry about this one right now. We're just going to worry about the little project. Let's take this out of here. I love that polka dot. It's so cute. Look at that polka dot. Super adorable. It's another one that reminds me of just watermelon, you know? Same as previous. Ooh, look at that. Oh, I like that stripe. How cute. Oh, look at those flowers. All right, let me press all these fabrics and then I'm gonna check the pattern to see how difficult it is. Oh, it's both sides, so two-sided means it's difficult for me. Okay, here we go. Let's press this. Okay, everything's pressed. Time to cut. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this part in fast forward. All right, time to start piecing. We need these 3 squares, these 6 squares, and these 6 square rectangles. So we're going to go ahead and start with putting one of these on each side, like this, and that, and the fan is blowing single little tiny pieces, just blow everywhere. Here we go. Just like this, and then after these are sewn on, we're gonna put a top and a bottom, a top and a bottom, and then same with this one, a top and then a bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and chain piece these three, these two through of all three, and then I'll add the other side, and then we'll add the top and the bottom. Now that I have sewn these, I'm going to go ahead and press them away from the center, and that should look like this on all three of these. I'm going to press them away from the center on all three. Once that is done, they should now be the exact same size of the pieces that we are adding on both sides, like this. And I'm going to go ahead now and sew this on here, and then I'm going to press it towards the piece that I'm adding. So I'm going to add all of these like this, turn it around, and then add the other three. Now that these are sewn, we're just going to press towards the pieces we just added, like this. Now that these are pressed, we have our three little blocks. We're going to go ahead and grab our triangle pieces of the three pinks, and we're going to add them all the way around. So each block is going to get its own color. So you're going to add two sides first, and then come back and add the top and bottom. So we're going to do that with all of these. So it's going to look like this, and then this one will be here, there, and then these two here, and then the pink one, the darkest pink, add the two sides, and then the top and bottom. So I'm going to go ahead now and take these to the machine, and I'm just going to do them one at a time. Side note, because I probably didn't say it, we're going to go ahead and make sure when you put these on, I'm going to get these dog ears off real quick. I'm pressing away from the center with my fingers for now. I'm going to snip these dog ears off. So to get these on, because I probably didn't show you, we're going to center them. So you fold them in half, find your center. You just make a little finger press and it gets a crease, and then this would be folded in half. Just a little press, and you can see those two creases. Line the creases up on top of each other, making sure that you have a 1/4 inch on both sides. And I'm going to do the same with this side when I add it. So I'll fold it in half, make a little crease, and then obviously fold this in half, make a little crease, and then put those two creases on top of each other. Once all of these are sewn, we're just pressing away from the center like this. I'm going to press all of them exactly the same. So away from the center, and then add the two sides and press away from the center. So I'm going to finish with these two, and then we'll move on. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and press all these, and then we're going to trim them to the size it says in the pattern. All right, so now I'm going to trim them to the size it says in the pattern. Now that they are the size it says in the pattern, we're going to go ahead and grab our triangles of our background, and we're going to add them to all four sides again. Same as before, fold it in half, find your center, and then add them around it like this. Fold it in half, find your centers, and then sew them on like that. And they become a square, and then we'll be trimming them to the size. I'm also pressing towards the white. Once I press these away from the center, I'm going to go ahead and trim them to the size it says. Now I have three blocks that look like this. I'm going to go ahead and set these aside and move on to the next step. Now we are going to take our rectangles right here of our green, and we're going to take our squares of our background, and we're going to follow what the pattern says. So it has us making 5 just gonna press this with my finger for a moment to get it to stay. We're going to make 5 going one direction like this. See if I can't get these to stay. And that. And we're going to snowball those edges like that, 5 of them that way. And then we're going to make 4 of them a different direction. So we're going to make 4 of them that go here. And here, like that. So 5 one way, 5 the other. Pay attention to the pattern so that we get this right. 5 going this way, 4 going this way. So I'm going to go to the machine and I'll do the 5 this way, and then I'll come back and do the 4 this way. Now that I have all these sewn on, I'm going to go ahead and trim away the excess on both because I added them one right after the other with some chain piecing. So I'm just going to fold out of the way, trim my 1/4 inch seam, and then I'm going to press these away from and towards the white. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and press towards the white. Now that this is done, we're going to do our next step. We're going to take and make some flowers. I'm going to do them facing me because I do better that way. So 2 are going to face this way, 1 that way. 2 of these and 1 of these like this with a center of this one, I'm pretty sure. Then we're going to do 2 this way, 2 this way, but opposites. So 3 this, and then this one and that one there. Actually, that way and that way. And this one is up top and that one's there. All right, so that's number 2. And then next to me on this side will just be number 3, this, and then this little guy in the center of that. So pay attention to your diagram. That looks right. Then this one, I'm going to look at the diagram to make sure. So I'm following the diagram. Yep, yep, yep. And yep, 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 yep. I know you like hearing me say that. All right, so then the top will be this pink on this one, this red on this one, and this orangier pink on this one. So I'm going to sew these just like this. So again, pay attention to your diagram. So I'm going to sew these 3 together first, then these 3, put them together with the middle. And I'm going to press towards this piece each time, not towards this. So towards the solid background, the one that doesn't have no piecing on all of these. So I'm going to go ahead now and start sewing these up. My side pieces are sewn, so I'm going to go ahead now and attach this, pressing towards the green. So I'm going to sew this on, press towards the green, sew this on, press towards the green, and sew this on and press towards the green. Once those are on, I'm going to go ahead and add the other side, pressing towards the green again. I'm just going to line them up and sew them. Everything is pressed. Now I'm going to add the top, and then add the top, and add the top, and I'm going to press down towards the leaves. All of my flowers are now together, so now we need to add their extra pieces. So this one is going to go on here on the background, and then this one from the background, the bigger piece, will go on this one, making them all the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and add these onto these two and press towards it, towards the piece I'm adding. Once these are sewn, I'm going to go ahead and put them in order. Hold on. I got to do it towards me. Short one, big one, medium one. And then we're going to go ahead and take the pieces that are right here. And I think this one's the same. Yep. Nope. No, that one's not. I cut this one too short. So let me dig into the scraps real quick and fix this. I was lucky that there was a piece of background that I could cut. So I'm going to press this and cut it to the proper size. But I'm going to put that seam somewhere further in and just cut off the two ends. That's my bad. Sometimes that happens. And don't freak out. Sometimes there's a little bit extra fabric left. Sometimes there's not enough left. So just pay attention to your cutting. Measure twice, cut once. I was, filming and blah, blah, blah happens. All right, that is now the correct size. That goes here. Look at that. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to sew this onto here and this onto here, and I'm going to press towards the piece. And then I'm going to sew this onto it and this onto that. Well, this onto that, then this onto that. That's how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these first on here, and then I'll add this to that and this to that, pressing towards these little pieces that I'm adding of background. Again, I'm going to connect the middle to this side first, and then I'll add this last one. I will be pressing towards that centerpiece. Now to add the last piece right here. I'm going to go ahead now and press it towards that piece that we just added. Once this is together, we're going to add some more pieces. I'm pretty sure, I can't see, this one is going to go here, that one there, and I think this along the top. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this onto this side, that one to this side, and then the top above the flowers, not below. The top for you as you see it this direction. So sides first, then add the top. Once these sides are sewn on, I'm just going to press towards the piece I added. Once that is done, I'm going to add this top piece, should be exactly the right size, and then I'm going to go ahead and press towards the piece I add. Now that that is sewn on there, it's time to add the yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and put one on each side. I'm going to put one on the bottom and one on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do the sides first and then the top and bottom. I'm going to go ahead and press these towards the yellow. Once those are on, I'm going to add this and the top. Once these are sewn on, I'm just going to press towards the yellow. Now, two sides. And the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and press this, put the sides on and then press towards the piece I'm adding, and then I'll put the top and bottom on and press towards that. Here is the finished quilt top. So now all I need to do is choose some backing fabric and quilt this up. I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side because I'm going to quilt it up, and then it just needs its binding, which is going to be super cute. Look at that. I always love a stripe binding. So I'm going to go ahead, set this aside, and we're going to work on the block of the month. So for now, I'll quilt this in a bit. I just got to go choose some backing fabric. But let's get that block of the month done. Here's the block of the month. I'm just going to go ahead and take the, where's the opening? Somewhere. Hello. Whew. Where's it at? There it is. I'm going to go ahead dump it all out. This is the block we're making. It has a background. It looks like the round parts, and then it looks like part of the star, and then the center of the star. So there's the fabrics. Same as last month with this. All right, here we go. I've gone ahead and pressed all my parts and pieces, and I'm going to follow the pattern. So with this cream color, there is no room for error, so I just had to dig through my stash of 1.5-inch squares. I don't mean to give out the measurement, but I had to dig through my squares and found the closest I could. It is a different weave, but I don't think you're going to notice the difference. Because I was shy, because I screwed up and cut the wrong size, because I was looking on the chart at the wrong section when I was cutting the white. I started looking up here and I was like, oh, I could do that. So make sure you're paying attention when you're cutting the whole entire thing. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and assemble this block. We're going to take these 4 pieces first. And then I never draw the line, but it says on the back side to draw the line. Here, and one more right here. And I'm going to sew that, and then one will get the green on the opposite side, and two will get the green on the opposite side, and 2 will get the pink on the opposite side. So I'm going to go ahead now and sew these from this corner up to here on all 4 of these. Once they are sewn, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to take and press these towards the piece that I just added. Once these are sewn on, we're going to add the opposite side. So this is the way they look right here. Whew. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. I did. Oh my goodness, I did it again. Oh. Okay, so I royally screwed mine up. So what I'm going to do is rip this off of here and put this piece on this side. I'm going to look at this real quick. This corner. So this is the one that's correct. This is not. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to sew it onto this side. Very carefully, like. This is what happens when you shouldn't be sewing. So pay attention to your directions. I ran those through. For some reason, my brain just was thinking it was going the same direction. So I'm going to go ahead and rip these off very carefully because I'm going to be adding the other color on that side. So I don't want it to be messed up at all. Because I'm going to use that same corner to corner 1/4 inch line. And all I'll have to do is cut away the extra color. So this now will go on this side. All right, so now that I have it ripped off, this is in case you mess up, I'm just going to lay it on the corner. So it's going to be on that opposite side. My corner is still touching. This corner is still lined up. got to make it this way. This corner is still touching. That is still lined up, and that is up at the top. I knew I was doing something wrong. Again, shouldn't be sewing, but I am. Why? Because I can. All right, there. Now I'm going to sew on that line and cut away this excess. So to prevent that from happening, just follow your instructions. So now these are on the correct side. So I'm going to go ahead and press them. So these are missing the opposite, which is fine because the square still has an edge right here to line up on. So I'm just going to put that on there, and then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to sew on that line that has the stitch mark. So I'm going to sew right on top of my stitches that I had ripped out, but you can still see the stitch holes. So I'm going to go ahead and sew those and then sew the opposite side of these. I'm going to go ahead now and cut away the excess. So that is now correct. And then this one. I'm just trimming along the same line where I messed it up. It was almost like having a die cut piece, you know? So there's that, and that's on the correct side now. Look at that. Okay, correct side. Correct side, yep. And then I'm going to cut these two away. And I'm going to press towards the piece that I just added. All right, these are my pieces that are done to that way and to this way. Next step is to take this square right here and these pieces right here, and we're going to do a partial seam. So I'm going to sew halfway, and if you need help with that, I do have videos on partial seams. So I'm going to sew halfway on this, then I'm going to add that, then I'm going to add this, then I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to finish the seam right here. So here's the start. I only sewed, as you can see, half of it. So I sewed half. I'm leaving the other half undone. There was no back stitching involved or anything because I want to be able to sew the next. So now I'm going to go ahead and just sew this with this one. Should be exactly the same size. I'm going to add that on, and then when that's sewn, I'll add the next, and so on and so forth. So that was the whole seam. That one is a whole seam, see? So the whole thing's attached. Now I'm just going to put the next one on. I'm not even pressing in between right now because I don't want any of this to get smushed down. So now I'm going to add the next piece. Should be exactly the same size. Again, here's that next piece now. It is fully attached. And then I'm just going to move this out of the way. So see how it hangs over. I'm just going to fold it up and out of the way. And I'm going to sew this one on there. So right sides together. Now that one is going to get pressed away from everything I'm pressing away from. Now this last one, we're just going to take that seam. See where it's ended right there? Now you can see we just start our stitch right here and comes down to the end and it matches right up. So I'm just going to start my stitching here and continue on. And when you finish sewing that, you should have a block that looks like this. Try to make sure that you keep everything flat. That's why I sewed halfway, so that way it stays flat the other half of the block. And that way all you have to do is put your needle down into that spot, or you can sew from this end up to where you ended by sewing it this direction down and making sure that's staying out of the way, or else you'll get a fold right here and you don't want that. So now here is my block. It looks like this. I'm going to go ahead now and place this down. I'm going to follow my diagram for the layout of this. All right, that one will go there. This one here. That one there. And this one here. Yeah, is that correct? Yeah, it comes out at the point right here instead of like that, okay? So make sure you're paying attention. Then I'm going to go ahead and put these 4 squares around it like this. So I'm going to sew it together like a 9 patch. So I'm going to put these on, sew that, and then add the side, and then sew the whole row together, and sew that whole row together. Following the pressing instructions, it says to press away towards this background on the top and bottom, and then this is towards the center. So you're going to press that towards the center like so, and then again, I have mine hooked together so I don't get out of order. I'm going to go ahead and just place this one over here and sew it, and then the other one on the opposite side and sew it. My seam should be in opposite directions even before I press. It's finger press, so everything should land right where it's supposed to. Now I'm going to go ahead and press away like this. The next step, we are going to make 4 patches. Hold on, let's bring these over. I know it's going to be harder to see. We're going to make some 4 patches with the green and your background. And I'm going to go ahead and press towards the green on these. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these 2 through, these 2. So those, that, separate, hook them together. Now the 4 patches are done. I'm going to go ahead now and we're going to take these strips, I'm just going to set all that aside. We're going to take these long strips and we're going to hook these together now. Like this. Oops, there's one more right there. There it is. And see, I do have my boo-boo piece in mind, but guess what? It doesn't matter. Just like right here, you can't even tell which one of these is the piece I added. All right, right sides together. So 1/4 of an inch down all 4 of these, and then pressing towards the green. Now that those are sewn, it's time to assemble the whole entire block. So I'm going to go ahead and place these around just like this with the green facing the block. Then we're going to place these in here where the white or cream color, I can't tell what color, it's like a cream color, is going to be facing towards touching the green all the way around. So I'm going to do this the same as any 9 patch again. So these together, that together, and this together, then add that, and that, and then sew everything together as a whole. For you, it's the opposite direction, obviously, because I'm going to turn mine. So I'm going to go ahead now and sew these together. And here is my block. My block. All done. So I'm going to go ahead and put this with last month's block. I'm going to just set it aside. I just saved in the Open Gate box. So I just saved last month's box and I wrote block of the month on it. So that way, last month's and this month's can go together. Oh, how cute. This is going to be adorable. I'm loving it. So I'm going to go ahead now. This one was last month's. This one is this month's. Just going to fold it in half, stack them on top of each other, put the directions back in the box, the new ones with the old ones, because I'm going to keep them all together, and then close my box. And then, again, it says what it is, so I can keep that facing me, and I can keep adding my blocks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to choose some backing fabric for this, get this quilted up, and then bind it and show you what it looks like. And here is the finished little quilt. It's so adorable. I used a polyester batting in here, so it's got a little bit of a puff to it. I actually like when there's a little bit of puff, but I had a scrap of poly. So I was like, oh, I'll use it on this, so that way those little flowers in the background puff. So look at that. There it is. For the back, I just chose a pink. You could see the stitching back there as well. I did add my little hanging hooks that I add to a lot of my wall hangings, but you can see the puff really nicely back here as well. That stripe binding looks like amazing. I love stripe binding. Whenever I can use stripe binding, I do, because it looks amazing. So this is just amazing. All right, so I got that finished, as well as the block of the month. So all this is now done. Let's take a closer look at the stitching with pictures, and I'll take a picture of this as well. And then that's that. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or week or whatever time of day you're watching this. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.